Hey there friends, happy with how the Biden administration is spending your hard-earned tax dollars? First, check out my friends at CMMG. Go to cmmg.com. You can use my discount code FTATF for a good discount over there. Again, my discount code is FTATF. Get some really cool stuff. One thing I recommend is a 22 conversion kits. I'm going to be doing a giveaway in conjunction with CMMG on the 22 conversion kits very, very soon. It's a cheap, inexpensive way to get some good training in without costing you a fortune in 5.56 ammo. So I highly recommend looking into their 22 conversion kits. Again, use my code FTATF to get a discount. Visit them at cmmg.com. Breaking news, Joe Biden on Friday will announce the creation of the first ever federal Office of Gun Violence Prevention in a win, supposedly, for gun control groups. White House Staff Secretary Stephanie Feldman, a longtime Biden aide with expertise on firearms issues, let me put that in quotes. I'll explain more on this here in a minute. She is no expert on guns, right? But she is the one being tapped to lead this effort. Now, this effort has been begged for by representatives from gun control groups for quite some time now. They have been wanting an organization like this. In fact, in January, a group of 117 of these types of people sent a letter to the president demanding the creation, now get this, demanding the creation of a federal Office of Gun Violence Prevention, a $5 billion fund for community violence intervention programs and enforcement of the ban on foreign-made weapons, tighter Federal Trade Commission regulations on firearm marketing, education campaigns on gun safety, and a detailed plan on the enactment of Safer Communities Act. I want to point out that these are all BS initiatives. The main initiative is that first one, a $5 billion fund for community violence intervention programs. And the other one is education campaigns on gun safety. Now, you'll remember that they keep bragging about the Safer Communities Act, this wonderful bill that was passed last year, right? It was passed with the promise that, hey, we're going to end or at least put a dent in gun violence in the United States, right? They promised immediate impacts. They kept saying that once this is implemented, this is going to have an immediate impact on gun violence. And you will see this, and you will thank us because we did the right thing. This was a year ago. Gun violence, quote unquote, has actually gone up since last year. Now, is that a failure of them? Oh, of course not. It can't be, right? I mean, they promised you something. You didn't give them enough. I always say this. When you compromise with these people, now the reason why I pointed those two particular things out is because this is a money grab. That's all this is. This is creating another bureaucracy. This is another group of people who are unelected, who they're going to get paid handsome salaries, and they're going to do nothing. It's going to be all about funding and giving money to people to get fat on, and it's also going to let a little bit of money trickle down into communities to try to bribe them into implementing red flag gun laws and other things at a state and local level. That's all this is about. This is more of a lobbying slush fund that we're creating. Again, a $5 billion fund. And not only that, this is also going to be a money laundering effort. How is that? Well, you have all these 117 different people from the anti-gun movement that are involved, and believe me, the people on the far wacko left out of the anti-gun communities, they're already coming out on this. This is a leaked bit of information that came out, and they're already going out openly and publicly embracing this and saying what a great idea this is. How else do you get these people to pay you money through lobbying efforts? In other words, the every towns and the crazy moms. How do you get them to bump up their donations to the Biden administration and whomever else? Well, you get them to pay Biden, do his bidding. He appoints somebody to go out and solicit more money and get more money from Congress that he can now, guess what, pay your organization for research. So they're just trading this money back and forth. In other words, the Every Town for Crazy Moms will pay Biden a higher sum of money for the next election campaign, giving him their full support. Biden then creates this organization, tabs $5 billion out there to now send out back to the communities, because now he needs to create this type of education for gun safety. Well, guess what? Since they're not true gun safety experts, who do they hire? They hire these anti-gun groups, the ones who originally gave them money in the first place. So it is a beautiful scheme of money laundering at its best. Of course, the Bidens ought to be used to that. This is also virtue signaling. This money laundering effort is nothing more than saying we're going to do something, looking like we're doing something because we have press conferences, and doing nothing, all at the expense of the American people. Now, how do we get here? I thought the Safer Communities Act was going to solve everything. This is typical Congress. This is typical Washington, D.C. This is how this stuff works. They finally get you convincing that if you allow them to pass this bill, if you support them in passing this bill, all things are going to be cured. Everything's good to go. Yeah, we need to do a little bit more, but we're going to solve most of the problems with this. All we need is your support. Then whenever they pass it and they don't succeed at anything, which they knew that they wouldn't, now this is their way to go back and say, we didn't do enough. We need more. That's all this is. They fail, and then they get more money thrown at it, and they fail again. All they'll do after implementing this new office, they'll fail again next year, and they'll come back and say, we need more money. If y'all would have given us more than $5 billion, we could have done something. $5 billion just wasn't enough. Now, I have to laugh when I go back at the beginning of this article and point out that the girl that they're assigning to this, Stephanie Feldman, has expertise on firearms issues. Calling her an expert on firearms issues is like calling me an expert on baking cakes. I've heard people talk about it. I've seen it done. I've never done it. But just because I've seen it done does not qualify me as an expert. You know what she's an expert on, if you want to call her that? Climate change. Go figure. We've got somebody who is balls deep in climate change, who now, because they say so, is a firearms expert. So she's qualified to do this. You know what she's been doing? She's been carrying the water for Joe Biden and Barack Obama for a very long time now, over 10 years. Feldman has long played a role in shaping Biden's climate policies, including his time as vice president. She started working for Biden in 2011, and she has remained close to him since, including a stint as policy director of the University of Delaware's Biden Institute, which means she knows where the bodies are buried, right? She's the one that has bought into Biden and more, I guess, indirectly to Barack Obama, because obviously she's not getting her orders from Joe Biden right now. Joe Biden's dog doesn't get orders from Joe Biden right now. So clearly she is in bed with the whole Obama administration, existing current Obama administration through the Biden administration. Now this is clearly where she's an expert and why they want her. Feldman has helped plot the administration's executive orders. She's done a really good job on that. They've put out a lot of executive orders. A lot of the American people are stupid and think that executive orders are actual laws that they have to follow, which they don't. But she's smart enough to know this. That's where her expertise is. Her expertise is fooling the American people. She's fooled the American people for billions and billions of dollars through green initiatives, through climate change. So they figure that she can parlay that right into the gun control stuff and fool the Americans out of billions and billions of dollars for, guess what? Gun violence prevention. That's what they've tabbed her for. This woman has no expertise regarding firearms, none. Her expertise is simply pushing policy to get money and to get executive orders written properly to where they can fool the stupid American people and get them pushed through and have the president put them into place. Folks, this is nothing more than a money grab. That's all that this is. This is, again, the creation of another bureaucracy that now every year is going to be a new line item for the budget saying that we did a little bit, but we could have done a lot more if you in Congress would have given us more money. So all this is a money grab. I have to repeat this. This is money laundering at its finest. Nobody will get rich off of this except Stephanie and her staff, people in the federal government who are going to get these inflated positions, making a lot of money, and these gun control groups out there who are going to be the ones hired as subcontractors to write legislation and to write the wording in these executive orders because they are the true anti-gun experts. They're not hiring firearms experts. They're hiring anti-gun experts to run all of this. I have one question. Since none of these people on the anti-gun side have ever done one single thing to promote actual gun safety. Actual gun safety. Not using the phrase gun safety. I'm talking about actual gun safety. What do you do, young man, when you find a gun unattended? They don't do any of this. They tell these kids and they tell these people how bad guns are. They do nothing for gun safety, and they never have. They have hijacked that phrase and they use it. The pro-gun, pro-constitution side of this country They're the ones who have promoted actual gun safety. We are the ones who recognize our responsibility. Watch the White House not dedicate one single dime to the pro-gun movement, who are the actual gun safety experts. That will tell you everything you need to know about how this is a farce, this is a fraud, and this is a very elaborate, well thought out money laundering scheme.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
He's